anvil. Darren's obviously going to be dealing with. Yeah, honestly, I'm useless at that. But he's also going to be asking lots of questions around the discussion topic today. The discussion topic today is all about a blog that we posted last Tuesday, and the blog was on www. Does anyone even say that these days? It's on the website, yeah, yourvalue.co.uk. And the blog was entitled 8 C's to help you focus on what you can control in your business during Covid-19. Let's be honest, there's been lots of panic, lots of speculation, and a heck of a lot of uncertainty that's happened over the last couple of months with regard to the coronavirus and Covid-19. So we've worked through 8 things that we think you can impact, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion around that. Just before I welcome Darren into the discussion, what I would love is anybody that's watching this, just give us a quick hi, let us know that there's people out there. Also, make sure that the sound and everything's working fine. Welcome to my living room again. Honestly, I seem to have invited how many hundreds, thousands of people into my living room now. A bit crazy, but hey ho. But also, it's nice to have a three-way discussion in here. So Darren, myself, and you guys as well. So any questions, any comments, please do get involved. We'd love to know what your suggestions are as well. Anything that you're doing really well, anything that you struggled with as well. Let's try and keep the conversation flowing there. So, welcome, Darren. How are you? Are you doing okay?
I'm all right. Thank you very much. What a beautiful day. It's Thursday. The sun's shining. I think that puts everyone in a really good mood anyway. But good morning from the coast down in sunny Whitley Bay. So it's good to kind of have that. Looks like, this morning Lynn was out walking the dogs and kind of, 5:30, 6 o'clock this morning. The sunrise this morning was beautiful. So if there was nothing else that I'm going to take from today, it's that. But it's good to be back on the live. Great. Thanks, Joe, for letting us know that the sound is good. That's awesome. Again, just give us a hi. Let us know where you're at, where you're located, what the day holds in store for you. What are the little things that you've got to be grateful for this morning? Drop that in the comments. We'll share them where we can. But yeah, we had a good week so far. I think, is everyone ready for the day off tomorrow, if you can call it the day off, the bank holiday? Every day seems to have merged into one. But yeah, so how are you doing anyway? It's good to be here. But how are things for you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I had a few challenging days we talked about on last week's live, to some of the emotional stuff, some of the family stuff. My wife actually came to us afterwards and went, "Blooming heck, didn't realise some of what you talked about there." My neighbours went, "How come we got a shout out?" So actually, I better just clarify, right? Because my neighbours now know when we're doing a live, right? And they have promised they are going to come and moon, right? Because I've realised that actually in one of my windows I can still see. So, right, if I suddenly dive, shut the curtain, that's exactly why, just in case Richard and Catherine do suddenly do that. I don't think they will, but you never know, yeah? You've got to be cautious. There's another C that we're going to work on today as well, all right?
You may want to think about changing your office layout around slightly, just so you can avoid the neighbours doing stuff like that.
There you go, right? There you go. Right, no.
Moving on.
Moving on. No, it's honesty though, isn't it? It's alive and it's real. So, good for us. I think one of the things that we've done this week is we've started to see a lot of the bounce back loans. We did a little bit of a live about that. We've started to see quite a chunk of the bounce back loans actually hitting people's bank accounts the last couple of days. That's phenomenal. There's certain banks that we'll name and shame afterwards, Barclays, that have been a bit slow on actually helping people. But I think on the whole, there's a lot of people starting to get the funding, which again is giving a bit more help, a bit more clarity to business owners as well. So this week, good week. I'm looking forward to our session. Thursday this week's the new Friday. We always finish at 4 o'clock on a Friday, and we have a team meeting at 3:30. So I'm looking forward to catching up with the team at 3:30 this afternoon. We'll have a couple of beers just to relax and chill out. And then you and I are unfortunately not allowed the beers, Darren, because we've got a session with a local MP tonight where we're going to find out a bit more about what's happening as well.
We have.
So that's going to be really good.
I might still have a beer, but just have it off camera on that call. Yeah, I think so. Or just maybe hidden to the side. You've got to think. The key thing for us you've got to take little wins where you can. You know, we mentioned it earlier, the bank holiday, the VE day. What are the little victories and what are the little wins we're having at the moment? That's kind of what I'm looking at and seeing having a beer on a Thursday as a little win. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. You can not have a beer if you want. But coming back to the blog, what was one of the reasons behind us putting that blog out? And again, if you're not kind of sure where that is, that's on our blog page, yourvalue.co.uk/blog. Yes, we do still have to say that www stuff. I'm just putting that link on screen. But one of the things I think we've heard, and certainly why I kind of looked at that blog as being really relevant and pertinent, was we've had a lot of people obviously talking about money, and money is a huge concern to a lot of people, whether that's as an employee, an employer. You mentioned there the bounce back loans, people were starting to get money. People we've seen over the last week were getting their furlough payments through. It's been a stressful time. We've been uber busy. The payroll team have been working tirelessly to get those claims in and get people paid. You've been on the phone helping people with claims. We did the live the other day as well about that. That's really been good to see. But you know, one of the things for us, I think there are a number of areas that people still have some questions about. We're still seeing those come through on the Facebook page as well. Key thing for us was cash. That's the first one we talk about, why cash is so important. And I think it's not just about getting money, but that whole purpose of making sure you're invoicing clients for those that are still working. How do we chase that money? How do we get that money in? Cash, as we know, is a lifeblood of a business. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think as you say there, cash is king. Yeah, you can have as much profit in the business, but if you run out of cash, you ain't got a business. It's quite simple. Now, I think the crucial thing that we can do here, and you alluded to it there, Darren, is actually have those discussions with customers, have those discussions with clients. And we've talked about it in various lives before today, where we actually say, can we keep the money flowing through the system? So can we keep paying our suppliers? Can we keep on getting the money in from our customers? It comes down to relationships about how we actually do that, I think. But it also comes down to actually trying to help the business owners and all of us survive this as much as we possibly can. Yeah. But there's a few things that you can do from a cash point of view. One of the first things that you can do is make sure that you've applied for the furlough scheme where you've got employees. That's a relatively simple process now. I know some accountants have actually totaled up how much they've got for our clients. We were too busy to even total it up. We didn't care. To be honest, all I really cared about was actually getting the money in the client's bank accounts. We'll have got many millions in the client's business bank accounts. It's a simple process. Make sure you do it, right? The other thing that you can do is you've got the CBILS loan scheme. If you need over 50,000, you're going to apply through that. It's a bit of a tricky process to get it. The banks have not been fantastic in turning those round as quickly as what they could have done. But the business bounce back loan, up to £50,000, remember 25% of your turnover, is a game changer. Yeah, it's no interest, no repayments in the first 12 months. You go to your bank, you go to the online banking section, and you literally click the buttons. Yeah, it talks you through there. It asks you what type of business you've got, various other questions, and then you just have to confirm some things. And then generally within 48 hours, 48 hours, you've got the money in your bank. That is phenomenal. Now, what I would say is you may, and I've spoke to several clients about this, where they're saying we don't need the funding right now. You may want to consider taking the funding, getting it, putting it in the bank, and you've got it just in case, because none of us know what Boris is going to announce tonight or Sunday about the next wave of lockdowns, or actually I think it's going to be you can start to get yourselves back out. What does that mean? Yeah, if we've got 3 months or the equivalent of 3 months worth of our turnover sitting in reserves in our bank account, that's a bit of a game changer. Yeah. Has anybody actually applied for the bounce back loan? Has anybody got the money yet? Please put that in the comments.
Yeah, so absolutely. If you've applied for it, get it in the comments. Let us know. What's been your experience? Have you had the money? Is there a delay? What impact has that had for you? Does that give you reassurance around the next few weeks and months? Absolutely, get those comments in there. I think you mentioned something really interesting for me about other people and what they're doing around this. We have seen other practices putting the numbers of how much they've claimed. To me, that's vanity. Yeah. And yes, it may look good on an Instagram post. I think what the difference is there is we focus much more on the reality. It's actually better in our we don't need to track that. It's as long as the client is seeing that going to their account. and it's helping them pay their wages, or it's keeping the walls from the door for the next few months. That's what it matters to us, and I think there's a difference between vanity versus reality on that for us.
Yeah.
And we again about the whole charging dilemma. We tactically took the decision that we didn't want to charge for processing furlough claims, and that for us again was really key. So I think that's very interesting. I think sorry, go on.
Sorry, Darren. I think that again, how's that relevant? And back to the cash part, because ultimately as a business we could have charged for the furlough scheme. I mentioned on last week's live blog and various other ones that other firms were charging for it. It would have improved my cash position. It would have improved Valued's cash position. But actually, it wasn't the right thing to do. Yeah. If we start to charge lots of clients additional fees and we make more profit on the back of this, then actually we're going to lose clients in the long term over this. We want to make sure that we are here helping clients. And that sometimes you've got to look at the short-term cash flow win, but actually you've got to consider the long-term cash flow effect on it as well. So it's not just short-term cash flow that we've got to consider here. It's also the long-term effect as well. Yeah. And I think while we're talking about cash flow as well, it is important to actually do a cash flow, right? Now that cash flow can be back of a cigarette packet. I don't think we'll do that these days, but an Excel sheet. We talked last week on the live, if anybody wants the Excel template that we've got just in terms of a P&L for budgeting, we'll send that out to people. That's not a problem whatsoever. But just make sure you have some forecast in place.
Cool. I want to ask you a question there if I can, because this is really sorry. There's a question there that I often get asked, and I'd be interested to get your view on it as well. Is what's the difference between a budget and a cash flow?
I remember a discussion that you and I had many years ago about this one. Yeah, so a budget is your profit and loss, right? So it's your ins and outs. It's your sales less your expenses gives you your profit. Your cash flow is what actually happens with that. So if you imagine, let's give you an example. You raise a sales invoice, or I raise a sales invoice today, and we send that sales invoice out. Our typical credit terms, and we'll talk about credit in a second, are 7 days, right? We send an invoice out. I send you an invoice, Darren. I put 7 days on, right? Let's say, for the purpose of this, we actually make it 35 days, right? So more than a month, right? My budget shows that sale today in this month, but my cash flow would show the cash coming in next month, right? So therefore, we could have a sale invoice going out if we had purchases, or let's say wages, but we had to pay the wages this month, but we didn't have any money coming in next month, we're in negative cash flow for this month, So that's why it's really important to do a budget and a cash flow as well, It's imperative that you do both, because what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that your business will survive through this. And we can talk about credit as well, because that then plays another factor on the whole.
Absolutely. I think while we're talking about that, I think, if people want access to a very simple cash flow tool and a budgeting tool, let us know. We'll happily share that spreadsheet for you so you can look at that. That's really important. That can really help you. I think one of the other things that I've also seen, and I'm not saying this is anything related to Covid-19, I think it's just good business practice anyway, is really for businesses to look at their terms. Again, late payments can have a huge impact on the cash flow within a small business. So what I've certainly been talking to a lot of small businesses about in some of the sessions we've ran is really about looking at your terms. And I think by default, we always go to 30 days standard terms because that's just generally what businesses do. That's how we've kind of heard about that. What we've actually been saying is, look at different terms. So don't just offer standard 30-day terms. Look at terms like 13 or 14 days, maybe even 7 days. They are your terms ultimately at the end of the day of how you want to get paid. It could be zero. It could be, good old cash on delivery. This is where I think a lot of small businesses have just naturally defaulted to 30 days because that's what they think they have to offer. But what we often see is if you give 30 days, through looking at some analysis, we often see businesses getting paid on day 43, 45. So you're actually giving 15 days credit terms around that you're not factoring in to that. And that could have a huge impact on your cash flow. So certainly one of the things that I think we can suggest to people is, look at your credit, look at your terms. There is some psychology out there from some analysis that Xero did a long time ago, looking at if you give people 13 to 14 days terms, you actually get paid on around day 28, and that's within the month. So you're getting the cash in the same month that you have. That doesn't also kind of include or exclude the fact now we can take electronic payments. We can connect, tools like Stripe and Go Cardless, which again, PayPal even, and others that mean that we can get cash into our business a little bit faster within days, sometimes 2 to 3 days now with some of those payment providers. So again, look at making it easy, I suppose, for your customers to pay you. We don't always offer that. One of the things I know we have at Valued and we've been working with for a long time is not just about using electronic payments, but if we do have to give customers terms, is again, how do we deal with late payers and overdue invoices? And one of the tools we've been very pleased to work with has been Chaser. And that's kind of revolutionized the way that we've worked with our clients. Do you want to talk about a little bit about your experience of using Chaser within Valued for certain clients as well?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. What I would love again is just anybody to post in the comments what their standard terms are.
Yeah.
30 days, is it 60 days? Just so we can understand what people are generally offering. Yeah, is it cash up front? Yeah, it would be great. And I think what we probably do at some point, Darren, is we'll maybe do a bit of a state of the nation survey to understand what people are, what their problems are, and then we can actually do a live about that as well. But Chaser, right? As many of you know, I'm a bit of a magpie where software comes along. Or I was a bit of a magpie. Darren's smiling away there. A complete, whilst he's using his Go Cardless bottle there. He's a swag hag as well. But one of the things that I do is a bit of software called Chaser. I got introduced to a guy called David Tuck, who's the CEO, the founder, one of the founders of Chaser. David is a good friend of mine. And he basically said, I've got this bit of software, can I set it all up for you? And it's going to automate the chasing process. I was like, no, that doesn't sound good to me. That sounds like it's going to take the relationship away from me and my clients, and it's basically going to just let some automation software chase my debt. That's going to spoil the relationship I've got with a client. He went, no, we make it personal. Oh, all right then. Now you've got my attention. And he spent probably 20 minutes, half an hour setting up Chaser with me, right? And this made the responses and the questions, the email questions that went out, look and feel like Valued. Yeah. So the first one goes out, and I think it goes out about 3 days before the invoice is due. It says, hiya, name. Hope you're all right. Hope everything's all right with the world. Just want to check you got a payment that's due in 3 days' time. Is there any problems? If there is, let me know. Love and kisses, Stephen. Yeah. Actually, it doesn't come from me now. It comes from Kate. You then get a one that goes out 7 days later. And it actually, again, we want to look and feel like Valued. So it says, hi, Darren. How you doing? Hope everything's all right with the world. There's a lot of reasons why we want to get paid. Chances are it's down the back of the settee. It's still in the car. It's wherever. Any chance you can dig the invoice out and pay it for us. It keeps on escalating. And after 21 days, I think it is, it stops going from Kate and it goes from Stephen. Right? Because some people need that kick up the backside from Stephen saying, oi, Darren, you haven't paid the bill. At which point they'll then take it a little bit more serious and they pay the bill. Whenever a client then pays, and we update it in Xero, and all this data is pulled from Xero on a daily basis, when the client pays, they then get an email saying, hey, Darren, thank you very much for payment. Really, really appreciate it. The amount of times we then get a reply back saying, sorry we took so long. Just want to say great service or whatever it might be, yeah. But clients engage with that conversation because they genuinely think that it is Valued. It is Kate that's sending those emails. Now that to me was so important from a time point of view because I wanted to save as much time as I possibly could. Before Kate was doing it, I was doing it. Yeah, and I just didn't have time to do that. Let me tell you the other scenario that actually happened. What we then did was we set it all up and I buggered off to Lanzarote. And I sat in Lanzarote. And all of a sudden, I was having tapas, a place called Casa Felix. God, that seems like a lifetime ago that Darren and I were there. But we were sat in Casa Felix, Kate, myself. I think Lucy was around at the time as well. I think she was it might have been the first time she was there. And my phone started beeping. And I'm thinking, what the heck's going on with my phone? And it was the bank. And all of a sudden, people were paying me. So while I was having this meal, Chasers had gone out and people were starting to pay me. So I wasn't even in the country. And people were starting to pay me for the work that we'd done. That was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I'm sat in Casa Felix enjoying my holiday with my family, not chasing, and actually the software did it all for me. So it worked really, really well. Now, I know that Chase has brought some new products out. I know that we did a podcast with David Tuck a while ago where he talked about credit control, but we're also going to get him on live as well here if people are interested as well, just so that we can actually see what Chaser can do. I know they're doing some phenomenal stuff. They were offering some free chasing software for people for a while, just to help the local business community. So again, if anybody's interested, just put Chaser in the comments, and we'll make sure that we get you information about that software and how we can help there.
Yeah, no, I think the other thing for me is, the flexibility that Chaser has. That's the key thing for me, is that it's just that level of flexibility that it has. How you can set it up, how you can configure it, and everything else to it. So that's imperative to me. You can really personalize it, which is awesome. Cash and collection is really interesting. So yeah, let us know in the comments if Chaser is something that you want to talk about on that one. The other thing that I want to talk about is credit, and to see, we spoke earlier on about the CBILS stuff and the loans. So again, if you have had CBILS loans, let us know about that. If you've had the business support bounce back loans, you've seen anything come through on that, let us know in terms of the comments as well. What do you think, talking about the coronavirus, what's been the big thing for you with, shall we say, customers? What's been the impact, and what have you seen with customers? I think for me, one of the things I've noticed is the communication just literally ramp up, both internally and externally. And that level of communication just getting higher and higher, the cadence of that communication getting better and better and better. And I think, for us, even if it's just been certain check-in calls, it's just been, hi, how are you doing? Is there anything we can help you with? What's your kind of views and comments on that?
I think the big thing for me is from a customer point of view, and again, we've talked about on various things, make sure you're there, make sure you're in regular contact with your customers, let them communicate with you in the easiest way that they can, right? So I suspect, and let's just check, if I look at my phone, I've got 7 text messages from the last 35 minutes, right? 7 clients are now interacting with me through text messages. I would never have got that beforehand. Yeah, I would never get lots of clients talking to me through WhatsApp, through text messages, through Facebook, through email, through telephone call. However they want to communicate, let them communicate with you. Make sure that your systems actually work from a client's point of view, because it's great saying you must talk to Stephen through email. Actually, if you need a client that's sending you a WhatsApp, reply to it. Yeah. Make it as easy as possible to cement that relationship with the customer. Make sure that you still retain that customer after COVID-19. Make sure that that customer still loves you afterwards. Make sure that you're remembered for being one of the good guys, not one of the bad guys, because there's lots of bad guys out there. There's lots of people that are going to remember that they didn't get the help, they didn't get the support. Make sure that you're there. And I think the other thing as well is sometimes I was, for example, I was talking to Jason at Blue Kangaroo, and I've talked to him quite a bit recently. But one of the first things that Jason says, I don't know if he's on the live here, but one of the first things that Jason said to me every single time he's talking to me, and it's probably every week, is, how are you? How's valued? Brilliant. But then there's one question he always asks me: what can I do to help you? Yeah. Now, Jason, what can you do to help an accountancy firm? I don't know, right? But actually, he's offering, what can I do to help you, right? If we keep on doing that and we just offer help, we can't always help, but if we offer that help, then that.
I think the thing there is, it's just knowing that someone's there, isn't it? It's just knowing that sometimes, you know what. I think that's awesome. As two owners of businesses, it's great that you can actually have that conversation and say, look, can I just have a conversation with you? Sometimes I just need to vent, because this is changing. It's a challenging time for you as leaders of businesses. You're having to do things and strategize in ways that you've never had to before. This is a whole new way of thinking of what this means for your business as well as his. So again, I think the challenges on not to say challenges, yes, challenges, but in terms of also the how you're having to adapt your skills and what that's mean and what's changed for value. And I think all you can do as leaders is be there and be supportive, be honest, um, and be human.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that we've seen is certainly through the valued community and the guys that we've spoken to on here, the lives we've done with Jeff, with Nigel, with others. The one thing that I've seen more than anything is yes, supportiveness, being human. The other thing for me is absolutely that level of honesty. There's been a no BS approach to a lot of this, and I think that's certainly something that I've seen. Comments just come through. We're so happy we moved to Valley just months before COVID-19. We would not have had the support from any other firm, New Communications, and we are working for it. That is amazing. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I haven't got your name, so I can't respond as to who that is. But that's awesome. Thank you very much. That was unprompted. But yeah, great feedback for us and the team. The team love to get stuff like that. So coming back to the challenges, what's been the biggest challenge for you and the team from your point of view as a leader to the team, and how have you kind of dealt with that? What's it meant for you? Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks very much.
I think from my point of view, looking at colleagues, which is another one of the important C's in the blog that we talk about, it's actually being compassionate. It's about being there for the team. As a leader, none of us have the answers to this. None of us understand what we should be doing. I did a podcast with the UK Parliamentary Review very early on in this whole COVID-19 journey, I guess is the word there. And it was all about leadership, and it was all about actually what do we do as leaders? And all we can do is try and help, try and make sure that your team, your staff, your colleagues know that you are there, you are compassionate, you want to help them, you want to support them, but also acknowledge that you are vulnerable as well. Acknowledge that you don't have all the answers. Like this morning, I've mentioned before, but we have a team meeting twice a day. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, we have a team meeting on Google Meet. We also have another one at 4:30 every night as well. Primarily, that was to make sure that everyone was abreast of any developments, but actually it was to acknowledge that actually Stephen and Darren couldn't keep up to date with all of the news that were coming out there. So the team wanted to get involved. The team wanted to actually give back. So that leadership thing, it's not just me giving information to the team. It's actually the team helping and supporting me as well. And if I'm honest, I think coronavirus, COVID-19 has actually brought the team closer together. It's definitely changed the culture of the organisation. But in this morning's meeting, I acknowledged that actually Boris is going to say something about us going back to work. Depending on which newspaper you read, depends on whether we're going back on Monday or we're going back in 2 years' time or we're never going back. And you might read certain things that actually say, you know what, actually, I never want to work from an office ever again. As a leader, I wanted to acknowledge that, again, we were going to be going through another period of change. We're going to go through another period of uncertainty. But actually, I've got that in my brain. I know that I've got to identify what we're going to do. So this morning, we actually spoke about, yes, we might have lockdown removed for office workers on Monday, but actually, as a team, are we ready to go back?
Yeah.
Do we want to go back on Monday? Those that have been in our office, we've got quite a sizable office, but we're going to have 20-odd people in there. We're bringing the team in from Oxy's. It'll be the first time they've ever been in the office, other than a quick show around. They've never actually worked from the office, but we're going to bring those guys in. But actually, we're not 2 meters apart from each other. We've got a big open plan room. So actually, do we say we're going to bring half the team in 1 week, the other half in the next week? Do we actually say, you know what, you haven't got to work from the office. If you want to work from home, work from home. Yeah,
that's a really interesting point, because there was an article on one of the news channels about a guy who has clients. Sorry, Jason's just put a comment as well. We all need to be working together regardless of what type of company you are. Learning from each other is so imperative. Absolutely, Jason. Thanks very much for being on the session. Couldn't agree more with you. Absolutely. There was a guy that was saying that he has 20 staff. They've transitioned to working from home, and now he is letting the lease run out on his premises, and he's just going to let it go. It's 10% of his turnover. That's a huge cost for that company. And I think we're all starting to look at these challenges and saying, well, actually, do we need that office space? Is it imperative now that we've proven the work? And I think that comes back to sometimes what we said in the blog about condensing. We've had to rethink, some of the things we were planning on doing. We've had to put a halt to those. We've had to condense it down, and we've had to rethink some strategies. And I think you mentioned something there about change and culture. You said I think the culture's changed. I don't think the culture's changed. I think the culture has come more to the fore because of that. I think the culture has always been there because we've been very lucky in who we've hired and the team that we have and what they do and how they do it. And we know there's a certain type of individual that fits the valued mould, if we can use that word. So I think the culture's always been there. I just think what this has done is it's taken that leash off, and now it's come really forward. And we've seen some amazing stories from the team. Them stepping up, doing different things, using taking things on their own initiative as well, and really becoming great ambassadors for value. And some staff that we're ultimately extremely proud of, and seeing some of that feedback come back has been good. But I think we're right. We've had to put stuff on hold. We've had to reassess, and we are still continuing to reassess. And there's other opportunities that have come out of that as well, which has been really good. And change isn't easy. You know that as well as I do. You mentioned earlier that you have been a bit of a software magpie, but what we have done is really focus on the change that's going to drive the business forward and to the betterment of customer service. Because ultimately, that's what we're about.
I think you're so right there, but I think it's also about, as you mentioned there, condensing. It's about saying, what's important for me right now? What's important for me 3 months ago is no longer, in some cases, no longer important for me anymore. Yeah, actually, me personally, I said on the live last week that I want to spend more time with Kate, Lucy, and Jessica. I still want to spend more time with Kate, Lucy, and Jessica. If all of a sudden, actually, we're all going back to work on Monday, I don't think we will be, by the way, but if we're all going back to work on Monday, actually, that is my time gone. I'm back to work at 9 to 5 in the office and spend half an hour a day travelling up there, half an hour a day travelling back. Darren, I think you spend 2 hours a day travelling to from yours up to concert. Actually, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's it. Working day is gone. Yeah, sorry, Darren, but that's a working day is gone by you travelling from your home up to concert.
Yeah.
Actually, I tell you what, just work from home when you want to do a little bit more. Yeah. Stephen, work from home. Mine's half a day. Work from home a little bit more because actually it's what's important to us. Totally. And I think, again, just mentioning colleagues again, just jumping back slightly there, on obviously these lives, a lot of them have been with Darren, myself, and various other speakers that we've brought in as well. But I'm delighted to say we've actually got 4 of the valued team join us on next Thursday's live as well. It's all about working from home, just as we're talking about that, and they're going to share their good, bad, and ugly scenarios of what's worked, what hasn't worked, and everything there. So I'm delighted that we're going to get some of the team on next week's live as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one. Really, really looking forward to that.
I just want to ask a question of those that are on here. What have been, again, we're talking about change. What have been your experiences? What have been the big challenges for you? How have you seen, in terms of teams, what have you done within your teams to make things better? How have you found it as business owners? How have you found, that communication and leadership with your team? How has communication changed for you? Has it changed, or are we just doing it in a different way? Really keen to see some comments coming through from you listening. Again, if you're catching up with this on a replay or watching later, just drop your comments below. How has your communication changed, both internally and externally with clients? How have you found that? What are your big kind of tips? That would be good. Share tips, insights. What's worked for you? What's worked really well? And how you've seen that change come through. That would be really interesting to see. Communication for us has been key. We've obviously, we're not a spammy organisation, and that's not who Valued are, but we've had to tread a very fine line. And sometimes we may have got it wrong, but hopefully in overall we've got the balance quite right. And there's been a lot of comms that we've had to put out over the last few weeks, and we're trying to condense it down as best we can. Now, some people will get A bunch of emails come through from MailChimp. We're just trying to segment that by the stuff that's relevant. So again, we would do the payroll furlough to those that we do payroll schemes for. We would do general updates to everyone. Again, give us your feedback on here. We're not trying to spam you, but we are trying to get the balance right between kind of communications. And if you think the lives are working and you enjoy the lives, you enjoy the content we're putting out, let us know. We'll continue. If there's other things you want us to bring into lives, let us know. We'd love to talk about client stories. Stephen, you mentioned this last week, and we put it out in the newsletter. If people want to share their story just about their business, let's just focus on the COVID-19 thing. But there's some really awesome businesses out there that we really want to get their story out, because I think there's full of inspiration and other things. So if you want to take part in that and would graciously let us talk to you and do a live to the community, please drop your comments below. Email us, let us know. We'll arrange that, but we'd love to hear your story. Being a business owner is really hard. It's tough. We've all got lessons to bring to the table, and I think the more we can share that, the better. But communication for us has been really, really key. Jason's come back with another point. We work remotely all over the world, so this has been a simple process for us. I have the best team in the industry who I trust, and they're also very passionate about what they do.
You do?
Yeah, we know the guys at Blue Kangaroo extremely well. Absolutely. I think that's interesting, though, Jason, isn't it? Because some of us have, teams that do work disparately and are remote, or have had the experience of doing that. Whereas I think for others, they haven't. Certainly a lot of the team members at Value didn't have the experience of working from home and the adjustment. We'll talk more about that on next week's session. But I think you're right. You have a great team, you're passionate about what you do, and that's all driving forward for great customer service, and that's why we see the business grow. So, yeah, anyone else wants to add to that, let us know. I think so. Hopefully, we've got the measure right. What are your kind of thoughts on the comms, Stephen? What do you think? Again, the balance, is it right?
So I think we were very, very careful about newsletters. Yeah, we were very careful about the number of blogs that we're posting. We've looked at it and thought, actually, you know what, we need to put content out that's helpful. We talked a year and a bit ago about what our marketing message was, what our strategy was, for want of a better phrase, and it was about educating and informing our current client base. By virtue of the community, we ended up educating and informing lots of people that weren't our clients as well. So we ended up doing that, and I think that was important to us, because Valued was created on the back of actually wanting to help others. So it was important that we opened it up to the wider community as well. That's why we changed it to the business community as opposed to Valued client community. That's why we put these lives live first in the business community, and then we share them on the Friday through the other social channels as well. But you're always going to see this sort of stuff live first in the community in terms of blog posts, and then the lives on the back of that. But I think in terms of communication as well, one of the things that I feel we haven't done great, if I'm honest, and Darren, you've not heard me say this, is I think we have got some clients that have sat on the edges, that have basically said, I know you guys are busy, I don't want to disturb you, and they almost feel guilty for asking questions.
Yeah.
A really good friend of mine, Alan, sent me a message a couple of days ago. What should I do about the loan? I'm really sorry to disturb you, but actually, what should I do? Do you know what? He's a very, very good friend of mine, and pick up the phone, talk to us. Yeah, I'm more than happy to have that conversation, but actually, he's seen me really, really busy. He's seen us doing all of this sort of stuff, and sometimes did we communicate to everybody? I'm not quite sure. I think we did. Yeah, that's why we sent all the emails out. But I was talking to a client yesterday and said, "Did you get the email on Friday night?" "No, I never got the email." "Right, well, hang on a minute. Let me check. Make sure you're on the database." "Yeah, you did get the email." Yeah. "Right, okay, happy days." "Oh yeah, I forgot I read that at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning." Right, okay, fine. But what is the ways that we could communicate? Is the ways that we can communicate better with clients? Because ultimately, we've got a lot of clients that we need to get that message out to as soon as we possibly can. So I'm really keen to take any learnings that we can from the community, from the Facebook, the LinkedIn post subsequently to this as well. So more than happy to do that.
Just had a message through from Julie Sharp. Hi, your team have been amazing throughout. We too have enjoyed family time and are definitely re-evaluating our lifestyles. Looking forward to seeing my work family, who most have kept in touch via social media and FaceTime. Two very valuable resources. Yeah, absolutely, Julie. Couldn't agree more with that. I think we've all seen our use of social media and technology escalate over recent weeks, and I think yes, we really do appreciate that FaceTime, that actual FaceTime, not FaceTime via an app. I've heard a lot of people say the first thing they're going to do, and I think even Stephen said this last week. One of the first things he's going to do when he sees people again is just give them a hug. I think we are missing that personal interaction. So, yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for letting us know you're enjoying this for you as well. And yeah, I hope all of us can get back to seeing our teams as quickly as possible. I actually think that's an interesting point, because I think once we do seem to kind of come through this, I think there's going to be an awful lot of team gatherings at some point. I think we're all going to kind of get together as quickly and as efficiently as we can and safely as we can, and just have that. I know we spoke about it before about having a barbecue. So I think there's going to be lots of people doing very similar social gatherings with teams, getting people together and breaking that deadlock of remote working and getting people back together face to face again. So if you're planning on doing that, let us know what your plans are post lockdown as well. Let's start keeping some optimism here as well.
Definitely. Darren, can we just do a quick sound check with people? Because I don't know whether it's me or you, but it just flashed up poor connection on mine as you were talking there, and my screen changed and everything. So just want to make sure that everything's still working.
So nothing's come through on mine. If you can still hear us, just drop a quick note in the chat and the comments, and let us know that you can still hear us okay. Again,
I think just as we're doing that, yeah, you mentioned Julie Sharp, yeah. Yes. And I remember, again, it's one of the things that we talked about in the blog, the compassion. Yeah, Julie, you were one of the people that actually rang me and apologised for ringing me. Yeah, you were one of the people that actually asked how me, Lucy, Kate, Jessica are. I remember, and I'm not going to get emotional, and hopefully you're not going to get emotional, but your dad was one of the very first clients that I ever looked after many years ago. I remember the stories of your dad actually showing you how to run the business, how to you had to do the bookkeeping in a certain way because it was Barry's way and it had to be done like that. It was the right way, yeah, and all those stories. And I think that's what we remember, yeah. That's what people will remember for a lifetime coming out of this. And it's important that we keep those memories, we keep that compassion, we keep that friendly nature, because that's what's going to help us all through this. Yeah, it's stories like Julie, it's stories like Jason, it's stories like Alan, it's lots of people, yeah. And Drew Maddox the other day posted an amazing testimony about us. That was just beautiful. I think you mentioned Joe had done a little minute ago. That stuff is that's priceless. Yeah, we don't go out, we don't ask for that feedback, but it's very, very gratefully received when we do get it. And again, that goes back to the colleagues, because sometimes they want to know that they're doing a great job, and Stephen, Darren can tell them they're doing a great job, but actually hearing from a client, from a customer, is a lot more powerful. Yeah, so thank you for every single person that has shared those stories, and hopefully we're going to make lots and lots more memories over the years go with lots of people as well.
Totally. Lots of people coming back saying the sounds are all good, so thanks Martin, Michelle and Eloise for doing that. Joe, if you're still there, again, just drop a message. You know, what's communication like for you guys? Again, you know, and where you are. So let us know about that. You know, what are your plans for post-lockdown? What's the first thing you're going to do if you're going to have a barbecue, get a team to get together, come back? I think the overarching theme for us was, yes, coronavirus has been challenging. It's presented us with some great opportunities, but it's ultimately allowed us to be true to ourselves and values, core beliefs. It is about educating, informing, and helping clients and putting people first. It's not about making any additional money on this. Nothing I think has tested the business community like this previously and for a long time to come. But I think as we've heard from Jason and others, the more we can just be there and support each other, the better it's going to be for all of us. So compassion, I think, for me is the big thing around that, and compassion and how we deal with that. But also community. That's the other thing is the sense of community and what we get. And what's awesome for us, we launched Monday Marketplace this week on the community as well. So you can promote your business. That's the one day we really want you to do it. It's no holds barred. If you want to put offers out on there, from other small businesses to other businesses, buy from us. Let us know who you are. Don't just be kind of saying, yeah, I'm a therapist or beauty therapist. Tell us what you do. Put a link to your website, your Facebook page. If you have any offers, put them on there. Use that opportunity. We announced Wednesday wins yesterday. What are the small wins, the wins, no matter big or how small, that you've had in your business? I think Nigel Risner was happy he actually got a bar of chocolate from us yesterday. But there are other wins. Share that with that. Friday is obviously a bank holiday, but we've got the fun day. So if you want to put dad jokes in there or anything else, please feel free to do it. This isn't just about us lives and putting out constant updates around coronavirus. It is about building a much bigger community. As we said before, if there's stuff you want us to cover, if there are things that you need us to talk about, let us know. We're more than happy to do that. We want this and these lives to be driven by you, what you need, what you're going to find useful. We will still continue to put out relevant content as we come across it. But if there are things that you want us to look at, we're looking at doing software updates. We're looking at just introducing you to the world of software that's out there, the apps that can help you. So we spoke about one this morning with Chaser. Stephen, anything you want to add on that one to that?
I totally agree with everything you're talking about there. What I would love if we're putting the family fun day out tomorrow, do you know what? When you're sitting there and you're having your afternoon tea and you're toasting the VA victory of 75 years ago, send us a picture. Yeah. Put a picture on there, right? I'll put a picture of me, Kate, Lucy, Jessica on there tomorrow, having our afternoon tea or whatever we're going to do. I don't even know, I know that there's a load of bunting outside of the house there. I know that Richard and Catherine, I think, are going to do something similar next door. I think they've got bunting. They've decorated the whole drive, or Isabel's decorated the whole drive. Let's get our community feel going. Let's actually help each other. Let's support each other as much as we possibly can, because you know what? That's what's going to help us to get through this. So I'm delighted to play our little part in there as much as we can.
Awesome. And if you get any questions, pop them in the comments. Let us know. If there's anyone who doesn't have any questions, we'll probably come to a natural kind of conclusion to this session. It's been just under 50 minutes now. We appreciate your time as always, dropping by and listening in. If you do catch us on replay and you do have any questions, please drop it in. Next week, we are going to be talking with some of the team, as Stephen says, about their experiences of working from home, no holds barred, the good, the bad, the not so good, and the awesome, and how they found that. So again, if you have any experience you want to share with us on that, have any questions, maybe it's about the tools that we use, how we found that. It could be around just the practicalities. What are some of the tips? Let us know if you've got any tips around working from home you want to share with us prior to that next week. Let us know, and we'll make sure we shout out to you as well. But if there's no further questions, all we do is wish you a good day. Thanks very much for joining us. Stephen, anything to say before we sign off?
No, thank you very much from me as well. I'm just smiling there in case people are wondering what's the new buzzword for me, or for us, seems to be you're on mute. Yeah, that seems to be the new buzzword. Everyone seems to be saying it now. But that's what I'm laughing at. Sorry about that. But no, just thank you very much for your time today. Really enjoyed it as always. If there's anything that anyone would like to do afterwards, feel free to comment there. Richard, Catherine, if you're watching it, thank you for not coming and mooning in my window. That is not a chance to do it. I am keep on looking that way just in case. But no, thank you very much for your time, everyone. And do you know what? I'm delighted that you're part of the valued business community and you're part of the valued bigger team. So thank you very much for everything. Cheers.
Stay safe, guys.